Hello and welcome. Week 1 is finally under our belts. All right, so this is going to be our introduction to week number 2. And what I'll be doing is I'll be kind of recapping the big ideas from week number 1 and then outlining the activities for our week number 2. And Memorial Day weekend is in sight, so Monday, March 25th will be our due dates instead of Sunday, the 24th, so that you can enjoy your extra day off and the Memorial Day weekend. So for our week 1 recap, our introductory forum posts were so energizing. This is going to be a great class because I can see that we have a great variety of teachers from so many different backgrounds and experiences. We have students, teachers that are in their early years and those that have decades of experience. We have teachers that have taught from kindergarten all the way to high school, which is a great range where everybody's experience and perspective will be valued and of use to us. And I feel that with all that all of you have to offer, we're going to learn so much from each other, and I'll learn just as much from you as you'll get from me. And I can't wait to hear our thoughts throughout the rest of the classes. Our other activity for week number 1 was a chance for me to get an idea and give a formative assessment to all of you. Just a quick check to kind of see the trends of what my learners, all of you, are coming to the class knowing. Marzano, who's in educational research, did a lot of research on background knowledge, and he always encourages teachers to do just that with their lessons, to find out what the learners know ahead of time so that as teachers we can elaborate and expand on the known, on what they already know, and then build upon what they don't know or what they are least familiar with. And by doing that at the same time, you're also able to pique a little interest and some motivations with the unknown. So I took a look at the data. I wrote down the terms that people feel that they had a strong understanding of, and then also I kept a list of those that were more unfamiliar to you. And what I saw within the known terminology seemed to kind of waver towards those early literacy skills, and then knowing that a lot of you have just come from the emergent lit class, that does not surprise me at all. There were a lot of people that had some solid understandings of comprehension, concepts of print, and a lot of that early literacy skills. There were 2 repeat offenders in the unknown category. 12 out of 16 times the IRI process came up. And many of you had a solid understanding of what an IRI is, an informal reading inventory. And those are those surveys that help you to pinpoint a student's needs, the skill areas that are weak, and then those that the student is strong in. Those are the kind of placement tools and benchmarking tools that help you to identify what the student can and can't do. I believe that the word process was what kind of tripped a lot of you up, that kind of made you unsure of what you really understood. And what the word process refers to in the IRI process is just the action of assessing, the action of using those tools, those inventories, and then taking that data to find out what that student is weak in and where their strengths lie. One of the other unknown words that came up quite often was the word stanines, and those refer to tests which use a scale of 1 to 9 when they're assessing their learners. Any scores that come up with a stanine of 1, 2, and 3 are below average. Those that test with a 4, 5, and 6 are considered average, and 7, 8, and 9 are those that would be considered above average. And many of you refer to it as the bell-shaped curve, which is absolutely correct. Then those are types of formal assessments that we don't really see as often, but you can kind of correlate the numbers that they give with percentages. So students who score in the range of 4, 5, and 6 would be the 40th, 50th, and 60th percentile, and we always see those as typically being average. And that's kind of what if you want to put it in a way that you can fully understand, that would be a good analogy to use is the percentage correlation. However, it's important for us to understand what they are in case you come across a formal assessment that you use that provides the results in Stay Nines. But completing this activity where I was able to kind of see what your prior knowledge is gives me an opportunity to get to know you a bit more about your acquisition of reading knowledge. So I appreciate all of your honestness and your ideas and explanations that you brought forth in there, and then the questions that came out of it as well. In the forums, I want to say thank you for the great conversations in the forums. You were also concise and articulate in your conversations. Make sure that you have done your initial post by that Thursday. Typically, I'll have that Thursday for our discussion forums as the deadline for initial posts. And also, please make sure to reply over 2 different days. Spreading out those replies requires you to be a reflective practitioner. It kind of almost makes you have to think about a new conversation and how to put forth your ideas. And therefore, joining in a new conversation over a couple days gives you time to really kind of soak in that information and then be able to process it and hopefully have some more continuous reflection going on, which then can, of course, create more critical thinking as well. So thank you for all the great thinking and conversations that you put forth into those forums. So here's our introduction to week number 2. You have some forums to participate and then a class reflection that I'll have you write. The first thing that you'll need to do, as you can see right there, is we have week number 2 resources, a whole folder dedicated to that. You will find some pamphlets and articles and a screenshot inside that folder. All of those resources refer to the roles of the reading specialist and the roles of reading coaches. It also has some information from the International Reading Association as well. So make sure that you read all of those resources within that folder. And then you'll see underneath the folder that there is a link to the IRA's website. And what you'll find there is you'll find the 2010 7 standards for reading specialists. What had happened is that in 2010, the IRA decided that they needed to readjust their standards. In 2003, they only had 5 standards, and in 2010, we now have 10 standards. So what you will read about is what those 7 standards are and why they needed to make that change from 2003 to 2010. So please make sure to read the screenshot that matches that information, as well as go to the link to the IRA's website and read the information of the 7 different standards and about the reading specialist. Once you've done those things, then you will participate in 2 forums which center on the information about the reading specialist and the reading coach, as well as the change in the roles and the standards and the requirements of a reading specialist and a reading coach. The first forum is called Reading Coach versus Reading Specialist. And in that forum, what you will do is you'll compare and contrast the roles of the coach and the specialist. You'll talk about how some of the ideas and requirements and jobs for each are the same, and obviously some are different. You will see that the discussion forum is set up a little different. It is set in a Q&A forum, which means that you have to post your question, which is just your initial post, first before you can reply and see what others have posted. The second forum is called The Impact of Reading Roles, and this forum is more of a reflection. It's kind of a reflection on how you see the reading coach and the reading specialist role happening in your district, and then comparing it to what you have just read about what the coach and the specialist should be doing in your district. And then also some reflection on how you see your future in those dynamics as well. The third thing that you will need to do for week number 2 is to read an article called A Critical Analysis of 8 Informal Reading Inventories. The IRA process, like I had mentioned before, was one of the major terms from that assessment terminology list that came up 12 out of 16 times. So I thought it would be an appropriate article for all of you to read in order to get a good grasp as to what the IRIs are and what they can offer to you. You'll need to write a reflection on that. The description for that is included in the IRI reflection number 1 activity, as well as some descriptors in the rubric. This write-up is due on Monday, May 25th at midnight. So just a reminder, Monday, May 25th will be this week's due date. I'll give you an extra day for the Memorial Day weekend. Make sure that you have your textbooks and that they are ready to go by the end of week number 2, because we will be using them for week number 3. And make sure to enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. Have fun with your friends and family, and hopefully the weather will be nice and sunny and not too hot, but very pleasant. And the end of the school year is coming up very quick. It's going to be here before we know it, so enjoy that as well. Please email me if you have any questions or concerns, or put them in the General Questions for Carrie forum on Moodle. All right, good luck, and I look forward to seeing what you all have to offer.